Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Cloud Wars Live. It is the holiday season here in the digital revolution and is near the end of 2020. And I know that's a heartbreaker for some of you, but that's too bad. The rest of us are all very eager to put 2020 behind us and get into a very interesting 2021 season. And we're thrilled today to have one of our monthly digital all-stars back with us. Bonnie Tinder is founder and CEO of RavenIntel. Bonnie, welcome back. Great to have you.
Thanks so much for being here. And I also am glad that this is our last month of 2020. I'll be happy to turn the chapter on this year.
Yeah. Bonnie, you've got as always, some terrific ideas to talk about. Just be sure, because I think we've got our growing audience. And so for people who perhaps haven't seen you before, just please tell them a little bit about the perspective you bring to our conversations here as the founder and CEO of RavenIntel.
Absolutely. So RavenIntel is a peer review platform for enterprise software consulting. So we're very similar to a Yelp or a Glassdoor, but what we rate is projects and the systems integrators who actually work on them. So customers know who is good and who's not. We really seek to give customers of enterprise software a bird's eye view, thus the name RavenIntel, on projects and partner work. And we also give, all of these SIs the ability to showcase the work that they're doing through the voice of their customer. So RavenIntel is the site. We would be happy to have you stop by and check out our reviews.
And I think for everybody too, who hasn't met Bonnie before, Bonnie has also worked before doing RavenIntel with a lot of software implementation. So the natural thing for us when Bonnie sort of joined the team here at Cloud Wars Live, so each month we refer to Bonnie's episodes as Tinder on customers. So we really get that customer point of view along with the partner and the peer review capabilities. It's all very interesting. And then from that sort of work, Bonnie raises issues that are of significant importance to people, both in the business side of companies, the technology side, and more where that gap is closing, the business technology strategy. And certainly with what's happened through 2020, Bonnie, the pace at which these things happen, the significance of them, and the strategic impact that these engagements can have is rising. And sort of building on that, you've got some ideas for some of the big changes that took place in that whole category in 2020 and how those might roll forward into the coming year.
Well, I think in 2020, we certainly, in the project management space, as it relates to enterprise software, I think we saw a big shift. And we saw a shift in the size of projects that was being done and the scope of projects that were being done, and also the way that they were delivered, and the projects no longer being able to have the luxury of lots of face-to-face meetings and things like that. Delivery has changed. And, I think customers have really moved from this idea of these massive, large-scale project rollouts to more incremental work, which is optimizing what they have in place. But in some cases, we've seen these rapid, accelerated timeframes for a particular module that needed to be put in place to enable, let's say, a work-from-home sort of situation. So in terms of the big digital transformations or these large capital purchases, fewer of those this year, but a lot of more smaller, rapidly deployed projects, I think was the business du jour in 2020.
Bonnie, could you give us some sense of that shift in the time frame, what was typical in the past and what it has become now?
Mm-hmm. Well, I'll give you an example of a customer that we were talking just to last week that happened to be in the healthcare field. So they needed to quickly ramp up a project for, to account for employee surges due to, COVID-19 and just needing lots more staff, to be able to handle capacity. And so they wanted to build a COVID-19 command center for employees. And they were able to do so by putting like an org chart system in place. It was a piece of software that, they sort of fit for org charting that helped them really enable this surge of employees that they had to bring on board. And a typical time frame for a project like that would have been at least a quarter. And they were able to get this up and running within 30 days.
Uh-huh.
And so I think, in some ways, this idea of all hands on deck, getting rid of red tape and some of the bureaucracy that happens in these project rollouts, that has not been a bad thing in this. And it's shown that, given the right amount of focus and resources and attention, these deployments can be done in a rapid period of time, but it takes red tape, the removal of some of the red tape that usually is involved, and all hands on deck to really make sure stuff is rolled out fast.
Bonnie, do you feel that uh, into 2021 and beyond, will some companies say like, hey, look, the big urgency of the pandemic is gone. Let's go back to the 90-day, 120-day timetables that we had in the past?
I think we will see, some of that comes back. I mean, because there's going to be, a lot of business as usual, and some of the, things that I think will come back to, the norm that will allow people a little bit greater time to absorb these large scale changes. So I think in some ways, it's not going to all, be delivered in the same fashion it was this year. With that said, I think there was a lot of realization that projects can be rolled out with a lot less T&E than they had been in the past, and a lot cheaper. So this idea that project resources always have to be on site, more and more, these big expenses to have people, on site, really have become, it's shown that that's not necessary for successful rollouts. And I think from that perspective, there's been a lot of efficiency that people have learned to put into these projects.
And Bonnie, your point too about this more speed, cut through some paperwork, but this urgency to get things done more rapidly than ever before, has that affected, in your view, the quality?
I think there hasn't been, any fundamental shift in terms of the overall delivery quality that we've seen, things like on time and on budget. That's not necessarily changed dramatically during the last month. I think the trending is that the projects, as we've mentioned before, have actually been delivered more rapidly, probably because they're smaller in nature at this point. And, what I would say has not changed really is the customer's expectation in regards to the overall quality of delivery during this period of time. I think, while you're a lot more forgiving of, the delivery mechanisms that need to change, I think customers still want and expect a high quality of delivery, whether it's done in a on-site, manner or not.
Okay. All right. And Bonnie, want to hear a little bit more about what's going on in the systems integration market. And so the partners that RavenIntel tracks in just a second. But first, I wanted to offer this word from our sponsor, BMC. BMC wants to know, is your business on its A game? That's when systems are intelligent by learning from markets, where automation is paramount yet effortless, and when technology and people work as one in an enterprise. The A game is your business at its absolute best. BMC calls this the autonomous digital enterprise. Find out more at bmc.com/A game. Bonnie, as you've said before, there's the software vendors, there's the customer, but almost always there's some sort of a partner involved here. How do you feel they have performed in this crazy year of 2020? And what's your expectation about the coming year?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think in terms of the way that they are able to, deliver services, certainly Zoom and video conferencing has taken center stage. and the SIs or these system integrators who have mastered that communication medium are the ones that I think are going to survive during this period of time. It's the war for projects right now, and winning projects is fierce, and it's tough for some of the smaller organizations out there without these huge projects, or the volume that we've seen in the past, to survive. So I've seen some of the smaller independent systems integrators, really squeezed in a lot of cases. The projects that they're signing on are smaller, or they're upselling existing business, but they've had to, in a lot of cases, lay off good consultants. And I think we'll see more acquisitions of particularly of the smaller firms at this point, who just aren't able to sort of weather the headwinds that are created. The other issue, and this is both for software vendors and for SIs, is nobody had customer conferences in the fall. And so many of these software vendors rely on those conferences to sell the big new contracts for 2021. And so, it was a challenge for software vendors. It's doubly challenge for the integrators who rely on the fact that, software vendors are selling a lot. And so I think everybody did, remarkably well despite not having those things. But it really, it did challenge the SIs to get visibility, where those customer conferences were really a key to them, getting out in front of customers and things like that.
So Bonnie, as you talked a moment ago about some of the disruptive effect that has hit the SI community this past year, and understandably, right, no matter how good their intentions were in their execution, it just was a very, very tough spot in the market for them to be in. For businesses who are evaluating this, RavenIntel would be a resource, right, that they could go to and try to understand which of these SIs are continuing to get, very good scores from their clients.
For sure. And what we measure is, project success, that SRs are having. So the customers actually review the SI's work, and you can actually look at what's been done in 2020 and see, kind of who the heroes were. And there's so many of these SIs that went above and beyond to deliver projects in a rapid period of time, and worked with their customers, that were going through these real economic turmoils, as businesses, to sort of, how should I say, pay it forward. And I think in 2021, the businesses that, really stepped up this year are going to, see the benefits next year when things get back on track, and we go back to some semblance of normal again.
So, Bonnie, I love this one line you had, along, just to extend that point you're making, is heroes will reap their returns next year.
For sure. And, and I think this is the way that vendors and service providers treat their customers. And I think it's the way that employers treat their employees. Right now, the job market is a lot tougher than it has been. And yet the companies who are good to their employees, I think, are going to, next year, when there's back, another war on talent again, when jobs are more plentiful, I think they're the ones who are really going to be able to retain their employees for the long term.
Okay. And Bonnie, I've got to ask, just over your right shoulder there, it looks like the December word of the month. You've got one up. Can you tell us about that?
That's right. Well, I have a word of the month, and it's more of a reminder to me every call I make that that is in my the forefront of my mind. This month is inspire. I really want to leave every call and interaction feeling that I left whoever it is that I'm with inspired to do better things. So that's my go-to this month.
Perfect. Perfect. Bonnie, what's, a final thought about next year for your company? Where do you see things headed?
Yeah, I'm excited about 2021 because I feel like there's so much hope out there. Just from the country standpoint, economic standpoint, this idea that we have a vaccine and could really quickly turn the corner here. I think there's so much hope to be had, and I think that we're going to certainly see a lot of new projects that come from a enterprise software standpoint come to back to the radar again. So it's exciting.
Good deal. Well, Bonnie, thanks as always. You know, good perspectives on things. Love the inspire line. It could be the word of the month every month, but we look forward to seeing what new one you've come up with in January. And until then, I just wish you and yours a wonderful holiday season, and hope that, as you said, 2021 is going to bring a lot of new opportunity for everybody.
For sure. Well, happy holidays. Thanks so much.
All right, Bonnie, thanks a million. And to all of you out there in the Cloud Wars audience, thanks so much for being with us. Whether you see this in late December, early January, we wish you and yours a very warm, wonderful holiday season, and our sincere hopes that 2021 is just a terrific year for everybody. Thanks for being with us.